You.
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media. She has wrote a piece telling parents how to Christine Blasey-Ford-Proof your son. She had 4 tips for all parents. Megan Fox joins us tonight. Megan, thanks a lot for coming on. So what does this mean? What's the prophylactic against getting accused of something, and what would you tell parents to tell their boys?
Well, there is no total prophylactic, of course, but I would tell them to first, when they're young, for sure, take them to church, give them a moral standing in life, teach them about their dignity as a person and the dignity of others. The second thing is to avoid drinking, stay sober, avoid girls who drink, avoid these drunken parties that can be used against you in 30 years, and also always act as if you are going to have a position of authority and a high position, and act accordingly. It's like the Mike Pence school of thought. Don't be alone with a woman who's not your wife.
Wait a second. That's like crazy evangelical stuff, isn't it?
That's what they've brought us to, Tucker. That's what they brought. We're going to have to bring back chaperones. I mean, there is no way to... I love my son, and I do not want my son to be accused falsely, and so he's going to have to cover himself.
You're right. So what's tip 4?
Well, don't trust women. I think you just touched on that with your last guest. I mean, women are not paragons of virtue just by being a woman. You've ever heard of Delilah or Jezebel, who fabricated evidence against Naboth because she wanted his vineyard? Women do lie. I want evidence. I believe evidence. I don't believe all women. I believe all evidence. And if
what's so funny is that spoken such like, I mean, I'm just being completely honest. I kind of do trust all women. I know I shouldn't intellectually, but I think that most men, and the left lies about this, instinctively trust women. I do think it's baked in our genetic cake. I do. That's how I feel anyway. And all the women I know are deeply suspicious of women's motives. Do you notice this?
That's because we know what we're talking about. Huh? That's because I am a woman. I know this for a fact. I've known women my whole life. Women are just as easily evil as men.
I just don't believe that. But I mean, obviously, I know you're right, but it's hard to convince me. Megan, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Tucker.